Hello, and welcome to the Unleashed Games weekly playtest. I am Irena Pereira, CEO of Unleashed Games, and we are here to make games that bring people together. We have a slightly different show today. Thank you so much for coming. For our repeat visitors, it's so great to see you all. Yay, Imaginary Heroes, Tozeb, so great to see you. Thank you so much for coming every week. We really appreciate the support and just the awesome community that we're building here. And if you are new to the stream, welcome. We welcome all viewers, and we are building bit by bit, brick by brick, with this game that we're showing you. And speaking of which, this game that we've been working on since last summer, we thought it might be a good time since we just completed our GDC demo sequence, the thing that we've been working so hard toward. And it showed really well over in San Francisco just 2 weeks ago. And now we've got really great conversations going around publishing, around investment. Thank you so much for sticking with us as we do this. But last week we went through our game with tips out to kind of show where we are and how far we've gotten. But now I think it's time for us to do a little bit of skipping down memory lane to take a look at exactly how far it is that we've gotten. Because you see, most video games, when players find out about them, they're pretty much done. They have their art style defined. They've got, their own art assets. They've got all the tech figured out. And it's usually within months of beta. People usually hold things tight to their chest when it comes to game development because it takes so much time to build a game. Even better, like if you think about some of your favorite games, one of my favorite games, World of Warcraft, that game took at least 7 years of hard development and lots of crunch for that game to be even getting to even make beta. And at 38 Studios, when we were building Kingdoms of Amalur, that took us 7 years and we never actually made it to beta. So that's why we do things differently. We actually decided with Unleashed to develop out in the open, meaning we were going to show you the ugly. We were going to show you the early. And in fact, we have. We've been streaming this game since the very beginning, since it was really ugly. So the first video we're going to hit on is going to be a video of how it started. So let's take a look, shall we? Let's go full screen for this one. Bam. This was our first few weeks of playtesting. There's some familiar elements, I'm sure. This was a little video that we put together for SPEEDRUN.
And I said they are going to come after our...
I have ads on this account. I'll have to fix that. But as you can see, we started very early. And we also then started adding assets. And in particular, we wanted to talk about a specific asset because the first asset that we got into the game was our very first character called the Forester. Because as you see, like in that video, we were chopping trees. So if we're going to be chopping a lot of trees, you're going to want a lumberjack. So what we did was we actually created a whole new character in our art style, our very first art asset that we created with Veronica, our 3D artist, and our concept artist that has been helping us out. We're going to take a look specifically at our character, the Forester. And we actually go into detail about how this Forester came about in our newsletter. So if you sign up for our newsletter, we kind of get into the nitty gritty of what it is that we're building and the progress and how we come up with some of our concepts. So this is our Forester, our very first character in the game. We love him and we particularly love his beard. He kind of came with some Slavic Russian influences. We really liked the idea of using furs and getting some great buffalo check patterns. Like we wanted to design like the manliest man that we could imagine, because what is a video game if there are not manly men? So this character, we ended up sketching out, modeling, texturing. You can see some of the details that we've put into his face. Here's an image of Tom Eng's notes to Veronica as we were polishing out this character. But I'll tell you, this character took weeks, probably about 12 weeks till we were happy with the model. But this was happening concurrently while we were trying to get this character in game. And in fact, I'm going to show you here. Here's our forester. This dude, we got some great animation sequences in. I love the bones in his fur, getting it to move around. We had all sorts of great goals with getting this forester in and abilities that we were going to implement with him. But you can see the animation sequence. We were just in love with this. There's still no visual. Try again. Can we see this one? Awesome. So these are our first tree felling tests. You can see we were just getting the code in. But here's our first attempt at getting this forester into the game. Lots of lumberjacks running around. And if you notice, like, yes, he is a lumberjack, but one of the things we were actually thinking about very deeply was lumberjack is a very gendered term. And we wanted to have representation for our classes that, wasn't biased. Like calling a female lumberjack felt a little strange. So that's how we came up with the name forester. We felt it was, it's actually a term used in Scandinavian countries for people who work with wood and who chop down wood. And we thought it was a great way to be gender inspecific. But you can see we like this dude, and he stuck around with us for quite a number of months. And it wasn't until really in September that we got anything other than the forester into the game. So I'll show you. Our next one is a little combat video, a combat sample. Let's see, can we see this one? Let's hit play on this video now. This is what combat looked like in October of last year. So what you saw was kind of June, July, and then fast forward to October. We got our first female villager in. Then we got our male villager in. Didn't get shaders on it yet. Our beacons look like giant crystals that floated above the ground. But here's our friend, very dramatically lit. This is the old warrior model that we don't use anymore. Some early particle effects. And then just 3 weeks later, they look like this. We got new classes. We actually got classes. We only had the warrior before, but we got a healer and mage with new models. It's October 20th of 2023. You can imagine that was just 4 months later. Mind you, the lighting is kind of rough. Animation's kind of rough. But we had cool shadowy aliens. and now like our healer had a sword. But we had full multiplayer. And we had our giants that we could spawn in with a scroll and totally bomb people with. It was, a little rude, I have to say. But at this point, we only had female characters, I think, in our game because we didn't have the male rig working. And this is pretty much how it stayed for a few months. We were just focused on class gameplay. See some of our early particle effects that still persist in our build today. The heal spells and the ice shackle. Uh, this is just, when you're building games, you experiment with lots of things. Oh, your happy birthday party. He celebrated my birthday on stream. They totally pranked me. Thanks, friends. This early building kind of still looks like this. But you can see the game that we have today was starting to take shape in October. Remember our blue textures on our inventory windows? Thank you, Jason, for fixing all of those. So again, you can see we had a lot of the functionality that we have in our game right now in October as well. And those are systems that we just have not had time to be working on because we have such a small team. But again, our goal was to put together a working demo of what we thought our core loop would be, and that was our core focus. We had to find the fun. We also had to make sure that we were kind of hitting visual targets. You can see it, like the environment's really dark, like some of the colors are blown out. The character, the shaders on the characters made them look like plastic dolls, which wasn't necessarily quite what we were going for. But again, every week we would play this game. Every week we would stream it. Y'all would ask questions and we would get feedback and we just keep making it better every single week. So, in contrast, going back to August, again, this is before we dropped the lights, when we had this forester character on a rig that works, which it broke actually because we were changing our animation system, which is why we couldn't get the male villager in there, etc. You can actually see our female villager is just a stand-in, like a gray box character there. Um, Sometimes things don't look pretty. Actually, most of the time, things don't look pretty in game dev as you're building the games themselves. So, I'm really proud of this team in particular. Like, this is what we used to play. This is what we've been building off of. And now the game looks quite a bit different. It looks more like this. Last week with tips, we got to take on a boss battle. Now, if you notice, this zone is actually that starting zone that we were developing early on. And in fact, we don't like to waste anything. We want to keep as much of the work that we've done and make sure that we can take advantage of it as we develop. Because again, there's no use having wasted work. So you can see we've changed the game quite a bit in just this short a time. And you've all been here along for the ride as we've been going. So thanks for sticking with us. Man, I'm just watching and being mesmerized by Cobblemot. That dude, and the ice spears flying at him. But this is a game I'd play, and I actually kind of wanted to clarify, very specifically, like who is this game for? Like, who are we making this game for? Because we're yeah. We actually have been very clear on our target market is that we want to make a family friendly game, a game that you can play from anywhere. I play on my Mac, we play on PC, we want to play on console, and we play on phone, as you can see on the screen. That's Dave Cham playing on his iPhone, which he does every week. Because we want to build a game where parents can have old school MMO style adventures and dungeon runs with their kids. Because I'm a parent, I'm a mom, I have 3 kids. We all play video games, but there's no game that kind of appeals to my kind of gameplay style, an RPG, action oriented. Like, I want to play Diablo 3 with them. Actually, I did. I was that mom. But that's not necessarily appropriate even for younger kids. So some of my best memories growing up were playing games like EverQuest and WoW, running dungeons, being in Soul A, Lower Guck for days on end. Not that we want grinds like that. Come on. But also, taking down Onyxia, hitting Nexramus, all of those great group adventures. We want that. And there's no game that necessarily scratches that itch the same way in a more casual package. So what we are building is like a bite-sized MMO is the way I like to refer to it. We're making an MMO that you can play in like 30 to 45 minutes and still make progress. Um, and we're making a game that has like those core, crafting survival loops that really allow you to build like a UGC village with you and your friends, except there's gameplay attached to it. Like, how often in Minecraft would I want deeper gameplay? And now, as Minecraft has been evolving, they've been adding it to the buildings. But like where the buildings have meaning, and if you build something really cool, that it affects your power level on your team or and to the residents of that village. So that combination we think is actually a winning combination, and we know that it's going to take time to develop this. So we've been at it for less than a year. Our roadmap has us building this for about 3 years. We're not planning on going live until 2026, but this is an early look and also an experiment in what it means to game develop in the open. And I know that Greg Street over at Fantastic Pixel Castle actually just released a preview video of the prototyping happening over on their MMO, which I'm so excited to see. Actually, a colleague of mine, Greg and I used to work together on World of Warcraft. He is an absolutely great dude. And I'm so glad to see his team embracing the same development method as we are. And why do we do this? Why do we even care? Well, it's because we do care. We actually want to have an active dialogue. We don't want to just show up on the market and hope for the best. No, we want to be able to make a game that, like, if you say, hey, you want male starting characters, we'll tell you that, like, of course, we're going to have male starting characters. But at the same time, we're going to make sure that we take your feedback in and be very clear about how we've integrated it, how we synthesized it, and how it affects our development milestone going forward. This is game dev in its rawest form. And we hope you stick along with us for the ride and keep on keeping on with Unleashed Games as we continue to make the best game that we can possibly imagine. And, do the thing that we know how to do best.
You can find more information about us at our website, unleashedgames.io.
That's not what I meant to hit. I'm trying to turn on my camera, which is not working. But so I really appreciate you sticking around for this a slightly different impromptu episode as we kind of walk down memory lane and kind of remember the amount of hard work that this team has put into Haven, and know that there's going to be a lot more work put in as we collect investment and get more money. This is the key, right? Is in order to be able to pay people salaries, in order to keep developing something like a video game, you need money to be able to do so. So we are absolutely seeking investment and trying to find the right partners that believe in what it is that we're building and can see how big this opportunity is. because we know that there are a ton of parents out there that grew up playing World of Warcraft and EverQuest, and they want to play a game like that again. And yet there's not a single game on the market that really feels like that. So I know that, our graphics are clearly stylized. We are not going super high end, unreal, like hyper realistic. That is an intentional choice. We are going for a video game that feels like you're playing in a 2D animated TV series. We want to be able to have a fantasy that feels like it can appeal to both adults and kids, because that's our primary audience. Gamers who have kids that want to play cool dungeon runs and go on adventures with them. So thank you so much for joining us on the Unleashed stream, and we will be back next Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and we hope you can join us then. In the meantime, have a great weekend and game on. Bye.
Hit that button and buy a t-shirt with a dragon on it, and that will help us keep making some awesome games. Looks like this. I've already seen a Unleashed t-shirt out in the wild that I wasn't wearing, and I'm super excited about seeing more of them. So yeah, buy a t-shirt.